Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. I'd like to just try to provide an overview of some of the recent GAO reports and audits that we've done looking at the reconstruction situation in Iraq. And I want to focus on three issues. First, I want to focus on the progress in trying to improve security in Iraq and enacting key legislation within the Iraqi government. Second, the need for clear strategies in Iraq. And third, the contributions that both the Iraqi government has made as well as the international community have made to the reconstruction effort. Let me start with security. Mr. Bowen is correct. Security has been improving in Iraq. Over the past 4 months, if you look at it from the gauge of enemy-initiated attacks, which is the metric that we tend to use in GAO, the number of attacks have declined from 5,300 to 3,000 from June to September. The decrease is primarily attributed to fewer attacks against coalition forces. Attacks against civilians and Iraqi security forces have also declined, but at a lesser rate. Continued violence in Iraq, continued reductions in violence are contingent in part upon developing capable Iraqi security forces. We've done a lot of work looking at Iraqi security forces, and in general, we have found that these forces have high rates of absenteeism, divided loyalties, and limited logistical capabilities. Since 2003, the United States has provided $19.2 billion to train and equip 360,000 Iraqi soldiers and police officers. But as of September 2007, as reported last month by General Petraeus, only about 10 of the 140 Army, National Police, and Special Operation units are operating independently. Reducing violence is also intended to promote national reconciliation. That was the intent of this surge. In updating the benchmark report that we did last month, we found that as of October 25th, Iraq's government continues to make limited progress in passing key legislation to share oil revenues, hold provincial elections, and amend the Constitution. Let me turn to the second topic about having clear reconstruction strategies in Iraq. U.S. and Iraqi efforts are often lack strategies with clearly defined goals, cost estimates, and performance measures. For example, state, USAID, and DoD have spent $300 million to build the capacity of Iraq's ministries, but in the absence of an integrated plan. The agencies have not identified Iraqi priorities or determined the costs and the resources needed to improve the ministry's budgeting and contracting processes. In addition, U.S. efforts are constrained by corruption, violence, unskilled personnel, and militia influences in Iraqi ministries. The administration has requested an additional $205 million to continue working with the ministries. In the report that we issued 2 weeks ago, we recommended that the Congress consider conditioning future appropriations on the administration's development of a complete and integrated plan. We've also recommended that state work with the government to develop an integrated energy strategy to increase oil and electricity production. Rebuilding these sectors is critical to the development of Iraq's economy. While electricity and oil production was up slightly in October, production levels for both sectors have consistently fallen below U.S. goals. And in addition, demand for electricity consistently outstrips production. The United States has made available about $7.4 billion to rebuild Iraq's oil and electricity sectors. Since Iraq's projected needs are nearly $60 billion for these two sectors, an integrated energy strategy is essential. And finally, we found that Iraq and the international community have played a limited role in rebuilding the country. In 2007, Iraq budgeted $10 billion for reconstruction projects. However, a large portion of this amount is likely to go unspent. Through July 2007, Iraq's ministries spent only 24% of their capital budgets. The government's ability to spend its capital budgets has been affected by poor security, loss of skilled professionals, and weak procurement standards. Iraq is proposing to reduce its capital budget to $4.2 billion in 2008. It is therefore unclear how Iraq will finance its future reconstruction needs, since U.S. funds are declining and international contributions are largely loans that the Iraqis have not accessed. Madam Chair, that concludes my statement.